Mother's Day is around the corner. Find the perfect gift for the mom in your life with a stunning piece of jewelry from Blue Nile. From timeless pearls to dazzling gemstones, Blue Nile has something she'll adore. Need it fast? Most items can ship overnight. Plus, enjoy guaranteed free shipping and returns. Don't miss our special Mother's Day deals. Save big on the season's most beautiful trends. For a limited time, get up to 50% off by going to BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
And welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of, we don't really have a name for this show yet, but we're going to call it Talkin' Hockey or Hockey Talk until we get a more formal name. Mailbag was done earlier this week, so we are back like we did last week with just an episode to kind of grab some topics here, run with them a little bit. Not much going on in the Penguins world for the most part. We're getting out of the quiet time before anything major happens once more teams exit the playoffs when we get closer to the actual offseason. Obviously, the Penguins, you can make a trade, but you're not going to make probably any trade worth much of your while at this point. Sidney Crosby, you can't sign him yet. Marcus Pettersson can't sign him. I guess the most Penguins talk we'll really have is the guys that are heading over to Czechia for to participate in the World Championships. The Penguins have a handful of guys going. Just running through them real quick. We have Erik Karlsson and Marcus Pettersson will be playing for Team Sweden, where Karlsson will be the captain. Michael Bunting, rewarded for his work this year, will go for Team Canada. And during some pre-tournament games, he was skating on a line with our old friend Jared McCann and budding superstar Connor Bedard. So something to maybe watch out there. See how Bunting plays there. For the United States, Alex Nedeljkovic was a late add as a goaltender. So good for him as well. Finland, we have Jesse Puljujärvi and Valtteri Puustinen. For Czechia, I don't believe there's any current Penguins. I believe it's just former friend Jan Ruta that is there. For Latvia, prospect Raivis Ansons is getting a shot there. He spent time with Wheeling and Wilkes-Barre this year. He was I believe, 4th or 5th round pick a few years back. So a handful of names going. No Crosby. No, Russia's not in it, so no Russia or no Malkin as well. But some names there, especially Karlsson, Pettersson, two guys that are regulars along with Bunting, and then Puljujärvi and the up-and-coming Puustinen, and then maybe future goaltender Alex Nedeljkovic, but we'll find that out in a couple weeks. But Snell, is there any interest in the World Championships as not just a Penguins fan, but a hockey fan?
Of course. I mean, I love these tournaments. I just feel like sometimes the one thing that kind of keeps me from really being able to sit and get dialed in is I just work a lot during the spring and summer.
Yeah.
And they're at different times than usual. Like, so I feel like because they're in Europe, they're usually either like early in the morning or something for our time typically.
Yeah, it's 6-7 hours. Yeah.
6-7 hour difference or whatever. So, but if I have, I mean, once the playoffs start to continue, you get less games on every day.
Oh yeah.
I forget when do these start this year?
They start tomorrow
They start tomorrow, okay.
Friday. Yeah, so when this episode goes live, they will be it will be the day of the World Championship starting. I'm trying to find some times for you here real quick, but it will begin tomorrow in let's see where tomorrow's game is. It's either in Ostrava or Prague. Those are the two host cities. Tomorrow,
imagine having the bank account of an NHLer who's going out to just play a little summertime puck, and you're going to a place like Prague.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure Prague is beautiful this time of year. Obviously, they can't host the World Championships in the United States because of the NHL playoffs going on, or Canada. It would be too much of a scheduling conflict, but there are 4 games tomorrow. They did say that all the United States games will be broadcast on the NHL network. The United States does play. They play Sweden. So we will get to see Erik Karlsson and Marcus Pettersson And I don't know if Alex Nedeljkovic is where he is at in the pecking order of goaltenders on Team USA, but possibly him as well. I can't find a time right now, but they do play tomorrow. It will be on NHL Network. And then I do know that NHL Network, I did read, will also broadcast all of the elimination games as well. So you won't have to look around for those. And if this is to be believed, the United States will play at 2:20 tomorrow afternoon Eastern time. So now that is 11:20 your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is 11:20 out there. So and they also play Saturday as well. Team USA does. So
They play Sweden first.
yeah, Sweden is their first matchup. So
That's
very
awesome. I love the Swedes. I love Swedish hockey players. I don't know what it is about them. They have that. A lot of those players for me have like the perfect combination of skill and finesse mixed with grit. Not all of them are gritty, but I think of guys like Ekholm and Philippe Forsberg in Nashville. He's not gonna like fight or anything, but he's a big body and he uses it, and he's got that amazing skill and finesse. He'll pull off the Michigan. Carlson isn't gritty by any means. He's just an awesome talent, and seeing him surrounded, like seeing him amongst his fellow countrymen. You got Hedman, who's just a Viking. Players like Patrick Hornquist have captured my heart. I love the Swedes, but you got to go USA. USA is going to have a pretty strong. A lot of players got up for Team USA that were eliminated. Brady Tkachuk. I mean, dude, those Europeans don't have any idea what's coming with that Brady Tkachuk fella.
Just rolling through some names here real quick. We'll start. On this list here, I'm starting with Sweden. You have Rasmus Dahlin, obviously Pedersen and Carlson. Victor Hedman's playing. Adrian Kempe. Joel Eriksson.
Sniper.
Joel Eriksson. Kempe. Yes, Joel Eriksson Ek. Lucas Raymond, who just, if you're familiar at all with the Penguins, know that he absolutely torched the Penguins toward the end of the season.
He had his coming out party this year.
Yes, big coming out party. Basically, everybody on this team named like Johansson or Lundstrom. There's a bunch of different names. Team Canada, obviously, Connor Bedard is going to be there. Macklin Celebrini was supposed to be there, but he got recalled back to the States.
Do you want to know who took his spot?
Yeah, it's one of Pierre-Luc Dubois, Brandon Hagel, and Nick Paul were added. Adam Fantilli was also on this roster originally and was unfortunately recalled because I would have liked to have seen him as well.
Dude, how is it not? How is Pierre-Luc Dubois taking a roster spot from Celebrini, the consensus first overall pick?
That's what
this is a huge showcase for the first overall pick.
Pierre LeBrun was even a little confused because this was supposed to be a kind of tryout for that Four Nations tournament that's happening next winter and then the Olympics. And he said that Canada is struggling at forward depth. He was really surprised that those two guys were recalled. Some other names here: Andrew Mangiapane. I mentioned McCann, former friend Brandon Tanev and Jamie Alexiak, Colton Parayko and Owen Power as well. So some decent names floating out there. Jordan Bennington will be the goaltender. Team USA, a very interesting roster here. Johnny Hockey, Matt Boldy, Brady Tkachuk. It's just a really funny. He's going to be very interesting in Worlds in a completely different game. How he handles there. Trevor Zegras, Cole Caulfield, Joel Farabee from Philadelphia, Kevin Hayes.
Did Drew O'Connor make the team?
No, he did not, which he was there last year and had a really good tournament. And the way he ended the season, I thought he would, but he did not get chosen for this team, which I thought was very bizarre.
Is Bill Guerin the GM?
I do not know. I can't.
Okay, yeah.
But Ty Hennis, one of the Penguins' assistants. The general manager is Brett Pedersen. Whoever that is. John Hines.
Hines, isn't he like the Penguins skill coach?
Yeah, something like that. He will be behind the bench. John Hines, former Penguins assistant, is the head coach. not seeing Jack Capuano's an assistant coach here. Jeff Petrie made the team. Zach Wierenski, Seth Jones. The goaltenders, Alex Leone, who is not very good. And then Trey Augustine, who is a young kid from Michigan State. He is currently he was born in 2005. He is 19 years old. He is again. This roster was before Nedeljkovic was added, so Nedeljkovic is in there as well. So yeah, some decent names that are floating around here. No Yager, even if it's in his home country, he has fully retired from international hockey. Andre Palat will be playing for the Czech Republic too. So no, I mean there's some good names. It's going to be good hockey. It's not the playoffs, obviously, but it's going to give you something to watch, and I think that's, I mean, better than nothing.
No, totally. I think if you're a hockey fan that just needs something on, I kind of wish that this tournament was later in the summer, to be totally fair. Like I wish it'd be cool to have this going on in like July or like August. But
it probably would, but I don't know how many at that point. There's so many guys on vacation and so much going on with their off season. They're probably, I think your best chance of the best participation you can get probably comes right now.
Totally. I mean, I get it, but I just wish that, because I get so like hungry for hockey.
Oh yeah,
in the middle of summer that it's like this would be the perfect thing. But I get it. It's like those players. You probably would get less talent showing up in the doldrums of summer than right after the season's over. So I kind of bummed Drew O'Connor's not there, because I just think if you got Drew O'Connor playing with some of the other I don't think Drew O'Connor was a U.S. development team guy. I think he was. I would need to double check that, but I don't. It'd be interesting to put him with some guys like a Johnny Hockey or a Zegras or hell, even like a Brady Tkachuk. I don't know if he was just on the wing with some of those. I think that can only be better for his development. I'm really on the Drew O'Connor train. I really want him to be. I want to see him take another step next year, but even if he doesn't, he had a great year this last year. He's probably going to be Sid's winger for next season. A little disappointed in that, but hyped for Valtteri Puustinen getting a shot with his respective club. Him and Puljujärvi. I think Puljujärvi, this will be good for him too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, after that surgery, he was in and out of the lineup a lot towards the end there. I personally liked his game. I thought for a third line right winger, I thought he has a hell of a shot. He's a massive body, hard to move off the puck. Sid even said the same exact thing. Hard to get him off the puck. I think the hockey IQ you wish was a little bit higher, but that's not something that you can just, you can't just download that. You know what I mean? It's just there or it's not. But this will be good for him to get some reps in, and then hopefully and then he'll get a full camp with the team. Looking for a lot out of him coming up next season. So Puustinen's an interesting one. I guess I want to ask you, where are you at with Valtteri Puustinen in the Penguins club? Like, what did you think of him last year? The one thing that worries me about Valtteri, he looks like he has the heart of a lion, but he's probably Garrett's height.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's definitely on the team next year to at least start the season. He was one of their better call-ups throughout the season, and I think that they just have to give him time, get him as much experience as possible, and the more he plays, the better the results are going to be. So getting Puustinen more action now at the international level, playing with a guy that in Puljujärvi that could very well be a line mate next year, I think is important. He ended the year on a high note scoring against the Islanders. And I definitely think, unless something happens that we don't foresee, a big free agent signing that would push him out of the roster, he's going to be on that opening night roster in October in the bottom six.
I think he's a good. I wasn't sure about him in the beginning because I just thought and this is no slight against him, but I thought the height thing was gonna. I didn't know if he was enough of a buzzsaw at that height, but I think the more NHL games he got, you saw him get more confident. And when
Yeah.
he was towards the end of the season, he was a buzzsaw. He was going into the corners, he was throwing hits. He has a hell of a shot too. Like for that little, he's 5'9", 183 pounds. Like, but for that little frame, and he also looks like a toddler. Like when they show
Yeah.
him on the bench,
Yeah.
he looks like a little kid, but he's awesome. I think he's kind of an energy guy that has a hell of a shot. Do you remember the infamous Valtteri Pustin one-timer this year that he took and absolutely clap bomb one top cheese?
Oh yeah, that was like his first goal. Yeah,
That was his first goal, and I just remember like I got up off of my ass for that. I was like, God damn, that was an awesome shot. Good for him. It'll be interesting to see how he does in international play. Of course, those statistics and whatnot don't always transfer over, but for a guy like him, the more reps, the better. So as far as Penguins in international play, for Penguins fans out there, there's stuff to keep track of and watch. There's a reason to kind of get up for these games if your schedule allows it. Tomorrow, knowing that Sweden plays USA, 11 o'clock, I'll be up by then for sure. And I don't work tomorrow, so I'll probably tune into that and check out Carlson doing his thing.
Yeah, and then the United States also plays Germany on Saturday at the same exact time. So if you're doing nothing on Saturday, you can tune in.
Old friend, maybe well. Dominic Cahoon.
Yeah, I don't have a German roster, but definitely a chance that we see some. Actually, I do have one here real quick. Just running over it real quick. Philip Grubauer will be the goalie. And
the German gentleman.
Dominic Cahoon.
There you go.
Nico Sturm. And that's it. Yep, just a few.
Sturm? I didn't know he was German.
Yeah. And John Paterka from Buffalo. And, yeah, Grubauer, who I said. So, all right, moving on here. We go to some news out of Toronto. The Maple Leafs just do not stay out of the headlines. And maybe a move that we all foresaw coming. Head coach Sheldon Keefe has been relieved of his duties. So Toronto joins the mix looking for a new head coach. And can't really say that I am overly surprised at this move. I think you got the feeling that this is what they were going to do, and this is what they did, moving on from Sheldon Keefe after another playoff failure. And yeah, he's now out there in the market. Rumors are that Jersey wants to interview him. I don't think he'll be a free agent long. It just all depends on where he ends up.
Dude, if I'm Sheldon Keefe, the last thing I want to do is coach a team full of a bunch of probably very spoiled young superstars. I mean, you just went through the ringer in Toronto with that. New Jersey has the exact same. It's got Jack Hughes, and it's got, Dawson Mercer. It's got Jack Hughes' little brother. It's got Simon Nemec. If I were him, that's the last thing. I'd want to go to a team with some veterans, and he's kind of a player's coach. He's a former player. I don't know, this is just me talking out of my ass, but I feel like if I were him, I'd be like, I want to go coach some veterans and kind of be like, look, boys, I'm here in the fight with you. The last thing I'd want to do is go try to manage egos with a bunch of U.S. National Development Program kids that have been catered to since they were 11 years old, personally. But money is money, and Sheldon Keefe was a competitive player. I don't know if a lot of people know. He was quite the little rascal to play against. He was extremely tough. I mentioned with Valtteri Pustin, and he was a buzzsaw out there. The fire burns to win for him, and he's going to take whatever opportunity probably gives him the best chance to win and get out of that, that godforsaken first round that Toronto is inept from getting past. So, did you listen to his little farewell post?
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah,
I thought it was great.
You don't usually see that, obviously. He was obviously grateful for the opportunity. He doesn't seem to have that big of an ego.
No.
But I thought overall it was just, you don't have to have, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It was just very nice. Thanks for every opportunity you gave me. Best of luck. I thought it was a very nice farewell.
Totally. And for all the flack he got in Toronto, just being under that microscope, I always kind of felt for the guy. it's not an easy place to go get your first run in NHL coaching at. That's not a forgiving city. And if you're
No.
learning the ropes yourself as an NHL coach, you'd have to think that that's just, I mean, no amount of training could probably prepare you for the media scrums and the flack that you get and the headlines and the talking heads poking holes in everything you do. So good for him to actually kind of seem to not, you never know how he feels inside. He doesn't let us know that, but that message conveyed to me that he was truly grateful. He's a blue collar guy. He's a Brampton kid. Just awesome. I thought it was great. Very classy touch when maybe his critics don't deserve class from him is kind of what I'm getting at, but I liked it. And you know what? Come on down to Wilkes-Barre and coach the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. That's where I'm at. Come on down. Dubas, sign the check.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I think he's going to get a head coaching job somewhere, whether it be in the NHL or the AHL. I don't think he's going to go somewhere as an assistant. I think somebody's going to grab him up. He's had success in the AHL with the Marlies, so he does have a nice resume there. So it's not like you're just pulling somebody that was completely like a deadbeat coach or anything like that. He definitely has a reputation, and he seems like a nice guy. So he's definitely going to get a job somewhere. It depends on all what suits him, I guess, at this point. So
as far as head coaching vacancies right now, the only ones I can think of are New Jersey, Seattle, Toronto, and LA. Technically, I think still I don't think they named Hiller. They didn't remove the interim tag from him, so I think that technically they are still looking
Winnipeg.
for a coach. Oh, Bonus retired.
Yeah.
At age 69. Congrats, Boemsy. Winnipeg, San Jose. They're looking for a guy to coach Macklin.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah, good luck.
Why good luck?
I just think that's going to be, I mean, that team's going to be still really bad.
Well, Macklin Celebrini's not even 18 yet. That guy might not even have to show face in the Bay Area for like 2 or 3 more years.
True.
You almost need another filler coach that's going to absolutely wear a toilet seat around his head for 3 years.
Yeah, that's unless you have big plans to change quick, which I don't think that they're going to turn it around that quick, even with Macklin.
I mean, they got Macklin, they've got Graf, and they also have, is it Leonard, that other college kid that had a hell of a year?
Yeah, I don't.
But I mean, those kids are just fresh out of college. They're not gonna. Yeah. They're not gonna be like. They're not even gonna be Anaheim Ducks bad yet. Like they're gonna be.
There's word that Celebrini might not even come to the NHL next year. He might go back to college for another year.
He has to go back to college. There's no. Why would you rush it at that age? You're so young. You need to go bulk up, and the talent is there, right?
Especially if you want to be bad again next year. Like if San Jose wants to be bad again next year, I'd delay the start of that entry level contract. Let him go play another year in Boston and develop, have some fun, win God knows what, and then go from there.
Well, they could be, if they decide to go that route, just keep everyone in college one more year, be the worst team in hockey again, where you can't even watch, even if your team is playing San Jose, they'll be so bad you barely want to watch that game. And then they tank for Gavin McKenna.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you might as well. But I mean, the Penguins scored 10 goals on that team this year at one point. Like that team was bad. Again, at the beginning of the year, they were worse than they ended. That was a bad hockey team.
Oh, yeah. And the Penguins weren't very great at that point in time either. We thought that they were going to be the team to lose to San Jose.
Yeah, we thought they were going to be the San Jose's first win, and then they just went out there and were like globetrotters against them. It was an absolute joke. But yeah. So speaking of Macklin Celebrini, if you haven't been able to or you weren't paying attention, the San Jose Sharks win the draft lottery. They will pick number 1 overall, which is expected to be Mr. Celebrini. So Garrett, RIP to Jackin for Macklin, officially done and dusted.
Oh, thank God. I never want to hear that term again after this.
No, but the Penguins finished in 14th. That pick will transfer over to the San Jose Sharks. So the Sharks will have 2 first-round picks within the first 14 selections of the draft. this is not as deep as the draft as last year. So what you're getting at 14 is basically just a lottery ticket. The Penguins still have a chance for a first-round pick. Carolina needs to correct itself.
Oh boy, it's not looking good though, Robbie.
No, it's not. But San Jose will pick first. Everybody expects it to be Celebrini. Chicago second, somebody third, and I believe the Blue Jackets are fourth. Utah, I believe is no, Utah's not third, are they?
No. Let me see here. I think I had a screenshot of it on my phone. Quick. Let
me see the Ducks.
Pull it up. The Ducks are third.
I think the Ducks are third. Columbus is fourth. Yeah. So, so not much really to talk about there. There won't be any unless the Penguins do get a first round selection. Won't be much to pay attention to until the second day of the draft. So.
Even when the Penguins came in right there at that 13-14, I think in the mock draft and then in the real deal thing, this draft isn't like the last couple of years where you could probably get even like a decent, a player who probably will play in the NHL in some capacity around there. I don't think it's happening this year. I do have to pump my own tires really quickly and just say, I've been saying it since the beginning of last year that Tija Ginla, who is playing for the Kamloops Blazers now, he was in Seattle playing for the Thunderbirds. He was somebody that I thought the Penguins should go after. He was starting to really turn a corner and light up the WHL. He went over to Kamloops. And he just took off even more playing for that team, and he was projected to go around in the later part of the first round, maybe around 15, which got me super worked up because I was like, of course the Penguins could have had Jerome McGinley's son possibly around there, but he is now his rank has now jumped. They're saying that he's probably going to go anywhere from 2 to 5.
Oh wow, yeah, he did have a big U18. World Championships just recently. Yeah, he had a breakout there. So, if he goes that high, then I mean, you never know. I mean, could be the next great Iginla to grace the NHL.
Yeah, I just think I don't know why anybody would gamble anymore on these former NHLers' kids. I don't know why there was a point where maybe they weren't. Like, Matthew Tkachuk went pretty late in his first round. Like, he didn't go top 5. You know what I mean? Matthew Tkachuk did. I don't know if I said Matthew Tkachuk the first time or not. There's so many of them now. But, yeah, Matthew Tkachuk. And it's like, I don't know why people... You look at it now, and that it's like the way he plays, any team that's competitive right now would do anything to... And even if they're not, who wouldn't want a Matthew Tkachuk on their team? There's 32 out of 32 teams that would take him. Any of these players you see now, except for I would probably argue that Lemieux, that kid, the Claude's son, I don't know if he's necessarily a hot commodity so much anymore, but you have his dad is one of the best hockey players to ever play the game. It's like if you're looking to become competitive, if you're one of these higher teams that are picking high up in the draft, why would you not take a chance on a Hall of Famer's son? I mean, apples tend to not fall far from the tree, is what they say. So,
absolutely.
Anyways, enough about the Iginla, because the Penguins have no chance in getting him now, considering it looks like they're not going to have a first-round pick this year.
Yeah, and that kind of segues into the final topic here, and a good reason that there is no likely to be no first-round pick is the second round of the playoffs are underway, and the Carolina Hurricanes are down 2-0 to the New York Rangers. Game 1 was all Rangers. Game 2, a very tight double overtime contest in which I don't know if they were going to score against Igor Shesterkin. That game could have gone on for another 5 hours, and Shesterkin was just in such a zone. Carolina blew a lead in this game. They should have possibly shut it down. Chris Kreider scored to tie it, and then Vincent Trocheck scored in double overtime on the power play to win it. Pittsburgh's very own. And now Game 3 is on. So by the time this comes out, Game 3 will have concluded. Carolina, about as much of a must-win as you can get without it being an elimination game. Back on home ice, they are changing goaltenders. And
they're bringing in that guy, Pitor.
Yes, definitely an interesting decision. But Freddie Anderson has looked suspect at times in this series so far. So the Rangers up 2-0. They have yet to lose in this postseason. I don't think they get out of Carolina unscathed. I think Carolina, at the very least, will send it back to Manhattan. But if the Penguins want any hope of getting that first round pick, they better hope that Carolina turns this around and turns it around quickly.
Yeah, that I just the Rangers are just their firepower, and they're kind of like they can really impose their will on other teams. And the one thing that you can't always count on from this Rangers team is their big star showing up. There have been times where Panarin and Zibanejad cannot get anything going offensively. You know what I mean? Like sometimes
Yeah.
they turn into ghosts, but not the case this time. Panarin is out there just really putting on a clinic almost every time he's on the ice. Zibanejad's not a liability. They're all healthy. Their blue line. Trouba is out there trying to actually kill people.
Yeah.
That'll keep your head on a swivel and maybe
Yeah.
be more focused on where he's at than the actual puck. Did you see that hit or attempt
Yeah,
at
well,
a hit?
attempted a hit. Jacob Trouba, I believe it was in the first overtime, tried to take out Martin Necas. Necas saw him and kind of stumbled. And I'm talking he had to have gotten a nice breeze as he flew by. Because if he contacts him, Martin Necas is probably out until Christmas.
Oh yeah. If
He
not,
was he
maybe he might not even be. If that would connected with the
yeah.
head, you never know.
Because it was quite clearly a pretty blatant elbow attempt at Martin Necas, and then Trouba just went headfirst directly into the boards.
I mean,
and
he
I
almost
forget
could have killed himself.
He did, yes, and then his skates came down on top of Necas's head, all in the same. And somebody on Twitter posted that's the first time I ever saw someone almost kill someone twice and themselves once. And he just went, and Martin Necas they interviewed him, and he kind of said, "Well, we know the kind of player he is, so I'm not surprised." So head on a swivel, because that was wild. And in slow motion, it looked bad, but in fast motion, it was like a car wreck. It would have been devastating if he would have connected.
I think it would have been hilarious if the concussion spotter pulled him out of the game. Being like, actually, you look like you gave yourself a conky. You got to miss about 10 minutes of the game. Come on to the tent. That Trouba dude, I'd love him on my own team. I'd love him on this team. But sometimes that guy's like a Tom Wilson. Like, I really don't think there are times where he can help himself. Like, I think he has. I'm not going to say he's like a bad egg, because I've heard he's actually like a tremendous guy off the ice. All these brutal hockey players are great off the ice, but dude, it's like the Matt Cook thing. Like, you're gonna end someone's career, and he doesn't want to end anyone's career, but the way that you're reckless in play, we had a question about this on the mailbag. You need to be responsible for your stick and your elbows, especially if you ride that line. If you're a person who plays on the edge, they say, it's like, dude, you want to be impactful, you want to impose physicality, but like, you can't be ending people's careers. Like, that is not the route that they don't want to be remembered for that. Bob Probert was known for being one of the toughest guys ever. I wasn't watching him really, but like, did he end anyone's career? I don't really think so. Some of the best physical players never actually ended people's careers. It was the Matt Cooks who ended people's careers. It was Matt Cook who pretty much ended Mark, not David Savard's career. I forget who it was that got Donald Brashear in the head.
Marty
McSorley. I kind of have a soft spot for him, but yeah, it's the Marty McSorleys, it's the Matt Cooks that will maybe end careers. And Trouba is in that boat too, where he's if he's not, I just don't know if he knows how to really, like Tom Wilson or maybe even a Kadri.
Yeah.
They just don't know. They get like a crazy look in their eyes, and you're like, that person is about to do something insane.
Absolutely. And in the other Eastern Conference round or meeting that is 2 games in, Boston and Florida have split this 1-1. Both games were pretty well blowouts, but tempers boiled in game 2. David Pastrnak had the bright idea of fighting Matthew Tkachuk and took one right on the forehead. I believe it was Montour who mocked Brad Marchand in a scrum with the licking motion. Bobrovsky looked more like Bobrovsky in this game. Jeremy Swayman got pulled for Linus Ullmark. So Jim Montgomery has an interesting decision now for his starter in game 3. But whether it was rust or whatever that got to the Panthers in game 1, it was not there in game 2. They're back in the series, and I still like the Panthers in this series as it goes along. I just think the depth is just absurd on that Florida team.
The depth is absurd. You've got guys that, dude, Oliver Ekman-Larsson is all of a sudden a very good hockey player again. I thought it was over for him in Vancouver.
Well, pretty much what? Like, he was kind of left for dead.
He was, and he went through a hard time losing his mother. I think she was obviously not a huge part of his just like career, but his life. And I think he lost her, and it took him a while to he just didn't look like the same guy for a while, but he has been revitalized down in the Sunshine State, I think is what they call it down there in Florida. And he's impactful again, and I'm happy for the guy. Not only him, but they've got a former Penguin Ron Hextall pickup at the deadline, Dmitry Kulikov, playing impactful minutes. He's fitting into Paul Maurice's system well. Their depth, like you said, their depth up front. They've got that Ryan Lomberg. He can't even get into the lineup right now because their fourth line with Nick Cousins and there's a monster they have on the right wing. I think I forget is it Stenlund or is it something like that? They have a monster on their fourth line.
Yeah.
And they can't get. They have Okposo too. That's a good pickup for a team
they have. Depth. They're kind of one of those like you don't realize who all they have until you look at their roster. They are deep at every position, and they really took it to the Bruins on Wednesday night. And again, they have whether it was rust or whatever, they got them in game 1. They were just a different machine in game 2, and when they come. They just come in absolute droves. It is just one line after the other, and anybody on that team can produce.
I mean, dude, guiltily I'll say I even forget with the Reinhardt having the year he had, and Tkachuk, and you got Sam Bennett, who's like I think he's like 25, but he might as well be 45 with that mustache and everything.
Yeah,
dude, they have Sasha Barkov, one of the best players in the NHL. Who is impactful every time he steps on the ice. If he's not, setting up people or scoring himself, he had 2 in the game last night. He's playing defensively, like defensively sound Selke nominee type play every time he's on the ice. So,
yep.
I don't see how Boston will overcome this. I think that their 2 goalie system, even with that, I just don't know if they're going to be able to stop the firepower. Sam Bennett's not even playing right now, but they're Florida, they have it all. They can play a Boston style game. They have enough rats on that team to get. I mean, Brad Marchand can't keep up with. You got Tkachuk, and then if you get Sam Bennett back in the lineup, you got him who'll get under your skin, and then you've got the dirtiest player in the league right now, and Nick Cousins on the fourth line. Good luck. I mean, Pat Maroon, they can't keep the flies off.
Absolutely.
One thing I was going to ask you, because I think we talked about this on the mailbag, maybe either this last week or the week before, but I brought up there was a question about fighting memorable fights, and I brought up the Vinny LeCavalier Iginla fight in the Stanley Cup final.
Oh, yeah. In 2004, yeah. 20 years ago. Wow.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Is Pasternak fighting Tkachuk the closest thing we'll probably ever get to something like that again, where 2 superstars just drop the mitts?
In that situation, probably. I mean, that's a Stanley Cup final. That's even a little bit more than the second round.
It's a little different still.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, as far as I haven't really, none jumped to mind that, didn't Malkin and Zetterberg kind of go at it in 2009?
They did
a little bit.
They dropped
nothing. Yeah, that was in the final. But yeah, most recent, that one with Tkachuk and Pasternak does stick out quite well. So
I'm trying to think who would be like an equivalent, because LeCavalier and Iginla were like powerhouse. They were like superstars. They weren't like fighters on their team. You know what I mean? Would it be like? Like Jamie Benn might fit like that kind of mold, right?
Yeah, Ben. I could see Ben fitting that kind of mold.
Kind of the same
Big,
power
yeah,
forward, has had a great career. He's just missing the Stanley Cup,
yeah.
captain. Would it be like him versus like a Kachuk? Would that, or like who in the East is even like has that kind of Le Cavalier type of game?
Like Zibanejad or Panarin.
Yeah,
I want to see.
Panarin.
I want to see Gensel fight. Gensel and Kachuk need to fight.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Maybe like Kreider.
Oh, yeah, Kreider's a good choice too.
Maybe Kreider and Ben go at it or something like that.
Yeah,
Dude, Gensel and Kachuk, that would be hilarious. I'd love to see.
yeah.
I would love. It would mean a lot to see the Canes come out of that series and play Florida. But dude, Florida just looks so dangerous. Dude, that Brandon Montour. I've been a fan of him for quite a while. That dude is such a sick player.
Yeah.
You talk about underrated players. You just have to. I think that I think he might be one of those really underrated superstars.
Absolutely. Out west, game one between Vancouver and Edmonton was on Wednesday night. Edmonton, I thought, had this thing wrapped up. Game one, an absolute meltdown by the Edmonton Oilers in the third period as Vancouver storms all the way back to win 5-4 in regulation. So they're off to a 1-0 start in this series. I mean, credit Vancouver. They could have laid down and taken this one and prepared for game two. They got a little momentum, ran with it. I'm still not sold on the goaltending situation. Demko, they said, is out until at least game 5. I mean, Edmonton's still going to score. Edmonton still scored 4.
I know,
and
right?
when Edmonton scores 4, you have to think that the odds of them winning are probably at least 80%. But Edmonton's goaltending and defense fell apart. Vancouver gets this one, and they hold serve there, so they know they're coming. They're going to Edmonton with at least one win, and now the pressure's on Edmonton to bounce back and get a win before heading to Alberta.
Yeah, for me, this is going to be a war. I think that this is like sneakily, despite it sucks that Demko's out because I think that would have really evened up these teams with each other. This is just going to be, it's going to be hectic, I think is the word I'd use to describe it. The Oilers, we know that their power play is historic, even when it's not clipping like it was maybe last year around this time. It's still historic. They have a great penalty kill. Tocchet and his gang of players that's just laden with superstar to like tough guys, like tough good players that can get under superstar skins. It's just the perfect matchup, and it's an all Canadian matchup. Like It's just there is a lot of noise around this. So the one thing I think that this game will do that is going to really favor Vancouver is I think you've got this Edmonton Oilers team. They haven't been very fragile, seeing as they were dead in the first 2 months of the season, and they came back and they absolutely scorched the NHL from once they got Knobloch in there. I think you've got them maybe question. I think you're hoping maybe Edmonton implodes from a game like that, where they have the lead and then Skinner gives up a few. Not all of them, I think, were on Skinner. Vancouver just creates some chaos. Like they've got big guys like Dakota Joshua. They've got JT Miller's a big guy who can really, he's physical. He'll cross check you in the ribs, but he can also score. He's a threat. You got to honor his shot. Nikita Zadorov sniped one last late in the game to tie it up, which he's not a goal scorer. I think one year he actually had like 17 tucks, but and then you've got guys throughout their line. It's going to be an awesome series, I think, is what I'm trying to get at here. And you hope as a Vancouver, if you're a Vancouver fan or if you're pulling for Vancouver, I think you might have Edmonton in a bit. They might implode on themselves after a game like that. You'll have them guessing. This is Connor McDavid's year. He said that it's cup or bust. They've been saying that since training camp. They showed up early this year. And I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to see a drama-filled series. I was telling Robbie before we hopped on here that There was some rumors coming out that Evander Kane was getting into it with some teammates and maybe left the locker room a little bit early by himself. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. If you got high expectations, you got superstars, a game like that, it might be a loose thread that can start to unravel a bit. So that's all I really got to say on the Vancouver Edmonton game. But that is must watch TV. Those two teams going at it.
Yeah, and speaking of blown leads in the other series as well, Dallas gets off to a rocking 3-0 start in game one of that series with the Avalanche. Avalanche just have so much firepower wherever in that lineup, kind of like Florida, with maybe a few bigger names that people are more familiar with, but they fight back, win game one in overtime, and Dallas lost game one in the first round, but man, to blow a 3-0 lead, that has to suck a little of the air out of it, and now the pressure's on them to get one back before going down 2-0, heading back to Colorado.
Yeah, that's very unlike Ottinger. Ottinger is a stud goaltender, but I think if you're watching those games, Robbie, like, dude, when McKinnon starts cooking, and you've got a guy as mobile as Cale Makar and as dynamic on the back end as Cale Makar, dude, like, I don't think there's no one can stop that. I don't see how you can stop that if it's not beating you clean with just an insane wrister or a one timer. They've got Valery Nichushkin, who's like 6'6", and he's got silky mitts, and he can score from in tight. You've got Miles Wood, who I really like that Miles Wood guy in Jersey. He's big, he's mean, he's fast. He can't really score all that much, but the tools are there to be, like you saw. He won it in overtime. Was it overtime? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
The overtime winner. It's just, how do you stop a team like that when you've got superstars mixed with just great glue guys? You've got great depth that can provide physicality and scoring. You forget you even got a guy like Josh Manson back there. He's still playing hockey, physical. His dad was a menace. He plays sort of the same way. Not as dirty as Trouba, but he can really, he's hard to move off the puck. Not Jonathan Taves. God, what's the Taves? Devin Taves. Devin Taves and Cale Makar, I mean, you've seen them in the regular season, in the playoffs. It's just, how do you stop mobile defensemen like that with hockey IQ? I had the Dallas Stars going to the final, but seeing Colorado, this is good. This is again, the West, I think, beats the East in must-watch TV. Stars in Colorado, the way that they're built this year, unreal matchup. Them and then Vancouver, Edmonton. It's a wet dream for hockey fans out there if your team's not involved. Are you staying up to watch any of these games?
I try to stay up for the late ones as much as possible. 9:30 does a lot better than 10:30.
Sure, yeah.
These games now this weekend I won't have a problem because I don't have to work in the morning after. 9:30 makes it a lot easier than some of these 10:30 games. So I try to stay up and watch. No, it's been great hockey.
It's been great hockey. Who did you have coming out of Colorado and Dallas?
Well, I had Dallas going to the final as well. So,
okay.
Again, they have a hard path if to make it out with Vegas and then Colorado. But, can't really – I mean, Colorado's good. There's no doubt about that. But
the one thing with Colorado is their goaltending. But if they're outscoring and if they – I mean, they can kind of – you don't want to in the playoffs, but you can kind of outscore your problems. It's just crazy to see that game one go the way it did with a guy like Jake Ottinger. Looking for a big response from Dallas tonight. You don't want to be heading back with, down 0-2. Because they're in Dallas right now, aren't they?
Yep.
Being down 0-2 and you're going into the Mile High City, into Colorado's barn where they're used to the elevation. Dude, it would be a shame if this series ended in a sweep. It would be a shame.
Yeah, don't see that happening, but I mean, I guess you do never know.
You never know. Well,
all right, that's about all. That's all I got for now. Snell, you got anything to send us off? And
Nope. Other than let's see. I was gonna check here quickly on my Twitter. Nope. I got nothing. But we got to come back with a mailbag, and then we'll obviously update on Monday with
Yeah,
where the
absolutely.
playoffs
So,
stand. Maybe we'll
yep,
have a little bit of news, maybe some international hockey talk. I'm gonna try to tune into some of those games over the weekend.
absolutely. Yeah. Look out for the mailbag tweet that goes out on Sunday. Get those questions in, and we'll get them answered for you. So, for Snail, I'm Robbie. We will talk to you guys next week.